Hi, friends. Welcome back to Live at the Roxy, late night edition, Wednesday night, 9:03 Pacific time. I have a flight in 10 hours that I need to start packing for and going to. So I shall not be here for that long, but I will be here for as long as it takes to talk about some things because what a day, what a week, what a month, what a year that we're having. What a decade, I suppose. Here Live the Roxy, a lot of the time we talk about entertainment news. There's such a blurred line in 2025 between what is entertainment news and what is political news. And this is one of those stories that really blurs that line when ABC announced tonight that the Jimmy Kimmel show, Jimmy Kimmel Live, is going to be taken off of the air indefinitely. And that is following remarks that Jimmy Kimmel made live on his show about Charlie Kirk and about Donald Trump. So let's talk about it. I want to know what you guys think. If you don't know the story, don't worry, I'll break it down for you guys. And also, it is still breaking as most people, most people who do what we do, they'll wait till tomorrow morning to go live to talk about this. I'm a night owl girly, and here we are, late night, chatting about it. Plus, anything else you guys want to talk about, we'll start with this. We'll see where it goes from there. Always talking movies, television. I've been watching a lot of different stuff. Gen V came back, which I'm excited about. The Summer I Turned Pretty had its finale. I'm going home to Boston tomorrow to see my niece finally. Grammy's still really sick, frustrated about that. Just throwing some things out there that are hot on my mind. And 2 days ago, I did what was like the most exciting thing of all time. I went in for a full body scan at Core Viva, where they scanned me head to toe for an hour. I was there from 1:30 till 10 o'clock at night, and I can give you guys some health updates as well, which is really exciting. And I also went to the Apple TV party for the Emmys, which I haven't been able to talk to you guys about yet, and got to see a lot of the Apple stars from Shrinking and Slow Horses and The Morning Show and Severance and The Studio and all of that. So tons of things going on, plenty to talk about. Let's get in the Streamlabs and Super Chats early because, again, I'm not going to be here that long because I got to pack for this flight and I have other work to do. I also think I lost another job today, which is the nature of the beast when you are freelance, but a little frustrated about that, which I can talk to you guys about more later as well. But again, just giving you all the information at the top of the show of where we're at going into this stream today. Lots of thoughts, lots of feelings. Let's get right into it. Streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer. That's how you get your questions, comments, concerns read out loud. You can also feel free to super chat in. However, super chat YouTube usually takes about 50%. So if you want more of the money to go to the creators, then make sure that you go over to streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer. There's a link down below. So for those of you guys who don't know, but I'm assuming if you clicked on this video or you're a rock star and you're always here, you probably do know that Jimmy Kimmel Live was put on hold indefinitely following his comments about Charlie Kirk and the shooter of Charlie Kirk. I don't want to paraphrase what was said by Jimmy Kimmel, so I'm going to play the clip because I'm finding a lot of commentators that are talking about this right now on CNN and Fox and MSNBC and all the major news outlets. They are paraphrasing, and I think it's important for you guys just to hear from Jimmy's mouth, not mine. So this is what Jimmy said during his broadcast. Obviously, there's an entire monologue. I'm not going to play the whole monologue, but these are the parts that have gotten him in trouble with the FCC and that have gotten ABC to ultimately decide to pull him indefinitely, his show indefinitely. So here we go. Let's see if you guys are going to be able to hear this.
The controversy stemmed from this joke during Monday night's monologue on the Jimmy Kimmel Live show taped on Hollywood Boulevard. It regarded not slain political activist Charlie Kirk, but Tyler Robinson, the 22-year-old man accused in Kirk's murder.
We had some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it. You can see how hard the president is taking this.
My condolences on the loss of your friend Charlie Kirk. May I ask, sir, personally, how are you holding up over the last day and a half, sir?
I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks that just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House?
Yes. He's at the fourth stage of grief, construction.
The day.
Okay, so that was 2 clips merged together. The first part, and then him talking about Donald Trump's reaction to the to finding out about Charlie Kirk. So I'm going to play it for you guys one more time. I'm going to pause halfway through.
Political activist Charlie Kirk, but Tyler Robinson, the 22-year-old man accused in Kirk's murder.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it. You can see.
Okay, so to score political points from it. This part is considered to be controversial for a couple of different reasons. Number one, for those of you guys who were not following the story in real time after the murder of Charlie Kirk, pretty immediately after the murder, there was a lot of rhetoric going on about who the shooter was, as the shooter was still at large and people were filling in the blanks. And depending on who you would talk to about who the shooter was, there was a lot of theories. This is a vast generalization. Many people on the right believed that they talked about it being some trans woman or a queer person. And there was a lot of conversation about this being a liberal, queer, trans woman. Those were the words that were being thrown around. Then over the weekend, it came out, and I put that in quotes because then there was conversation about actually this was a cis white dude who was extremely conservative, a Trumper, even further right than Charlie Kirk. And that was news that was being based on who they said the shooter was, their family and friends talking about them. Come to find out that it is that the cis white trans man. However, it seems as if that person is not a Trumper, is not MAGA, is actually a liberal who hates Trump and Charlie Kirk. So that was kind of the order of the events of finding out who the shooter was. When Jimmy Kimmel put out this monologue, it seems to me, and it seems to a lot of commentators, that he was under the belief that the shooter was MAGA and that this was politically motivated because the shooter was MAGA and was further right than Charlie. And he is, in his monologue, poking fun at the fact that a lot of people on the right believe that this was somebody on the left, and actually it was one of their own. That's what Kimmel is stating in this monologue. Whether that is how you're interpreting it, that's why I wanted you to listen to yourself, because there's some people who are not interpreting it that way. There's some people who are saying that he is saying that they were doing everything they could, but that to try and politically help themselves, MAGA, and the Republican Party, but to no avail. It kind of like depends on when you listen to his pauses. I'm going to play it for you guys one more time.
Trying to characterize
Political activist Charlie Kirk, but Tyler Robinson, the 22-year-old.
Oop.
This Dr.
Where the
Squatch
hell?
deodorant.
Oh, what the hell just happened? Come on.
And that breaking news here is.
Come on, squad. Here we go.
Accused in Kirk's murder.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it. You can.
Okay. So he's saying that they were trying to categorize him as anything other than them and trying to score political points from it. So people are saying that he is implying that this person was MAGA, which is not necessarily how that is to be interpreted, just him saying that that's what they were attempting to do. This next part, breaking it down, he's talking about Trump's reaction to Charlie Kirk, and he's poking fun at the fact that when Donald Trump was asked how he was doing after apparently being so close with Charlie and so devastated of his death, instead Donald Trump pivots and talks about construction, basically. I'll play this part for you guys again.
See how hard the president is taking this.
My condolences on the loss of your friend Charlie Kirk. May I ask, sir, personally, how are you holding up over the last day and a half, sir?
I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks. They just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House.
Okay, so this reporter says, condolences on the loss of your friend. How are you doing? And Trump says, very good. look at the construction of the White House. And then Kimmel says,
White House.
Yes. He's at the fourth stage of grief, construction.
He's at the fourth stage of grief, construction. That's the breakdown of what all of this is stemming from. Okay. So I think, again, it's important to listen to it with your own ears so that you can make up your own minds about what you're hearing. After that, the commissioner or president of the FCC went on a conservative podcast and talked about how deplorable these statements were from Jimmy Kimmel. And then there were networks that decided that they were not going to be airing Kimmel live, smaller locals. And then ABC decided to pull Kimmel live indefinitely. Now you guys are caught up on what happened. Now let's talk about how we feel about what happened. Streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer, super chat in. I want to get your guys' thoughts on this. Send them in. The broadcast we were just listening to, in case you heard some of the commentators, by the way, is coming from NBC LA, just to give them credit for that news story. Although every network is reporting on this at night. Obviously, this is a huge story because people are talking about what this means politically, what this means legally, what Kimmel can do if he's able to sue, if ABC is able to take action against the FCC, if the FCC is going to take action further, if this is going to stick, if this is considered cancel culture, which undeniably he spoke his mind and his show was pulled. So I don't know how you could not consider this truly being partially canceled. Jess Kuo in the Streamlabs, streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer says, I can't believe Trump is now going after Jimmy Milquetoast Fallon. What is Jimmy Milquetoast Fallon? I don't even know what that means, Jess Kuo. Let me know what that is. So Milky toast. Oh, like milky toast? I don't know what you're referencing. I missed something, so let me know. Let me know. I'm really, really disheartened by this. I'm trying to keep my head up and stay positive. I have multiple friends who have messaged me today about the state of this country and the state of entertainment and how a lot of people are trying to be silenced right now, and the government is silencing a lot of people right now, which has happened for our entire lives. The government has had a huge hand in the news that we are able to see and what we're not able to see, and the entertainment we're able to see and not able to see. That hasn't started with Trump. It won't end with Trump. But this is a really big deal. It's a really big deal that Kimmel said this and they pulled his show. And it's a really big deal that this isn't the first time that this has happened, but it is a huge moment in our society where we're lacking funding for entertainment that has always been around, such as PBS. We are pulling shows that are liberal leaning and left leaning. And there is absolutely division right now between us claiming to be a country that believes in freedom of speech and us actually being a country that has freedom of speech. When I was listening to NBC and CNN discuss the story, even the commentators on those shows were saying what Kimmel said was awful and they completely disagreed with it. And I found it very ironic that earlier in this week, if you follow me on social media, I posted a story about a reporter on Fox who literally said that we should euthanize homeless people. It was horrifying. Let me so that I can play it for you guys. Again, not to put words in people's mouths in case you guys missed it. Let me see if I can find this for you. And that host doesn't even get kicked off the network and his show is not gone. But Jimmy Kimmel says something about MAGA and it's deplorable, and his whole show is indefinitely canceled. And I don't understand what our values or our guidelines are as a country, as a government, as networks anymore. It's very scary to think about the fact that you could say we should kill homeless people, and that is appropriate or deemed more appropriate in our society than MAGA people wanted the death of Charlie Kirk to be pinned on a liberal, which is essentially what he said. Okay, here we go.
Because you see the mental health crisis happening. Exactly. And it's not our job. We shouldn't have to live in fear. Put them in a mental institution, put them in a jail.
Or involuntary lethal injection or something. Just kill them.
Involuntary lethal injection, just kill them. That was an exact quote from a Fox News host on Fox and Friends named Brian Kilmeade. And that is not cancelable, but what Kimmel said is. What are our standards? And I think the thing that I'm getting the most frustrated with is the hypocrisy of all of it, where we have some guidelines and rules for some people and some guidelines and rules for other people. Because if you believe in freedom of speech, you believe in freedom of speech. And of course, freedom of speech does not come without its consequences. If you say something and somebody doesn't like it, they're allowed to respond how they respond. But I feel as if we hold some people accountable for their words and not others based on what party they align with, not based on our values. Like it's a game. And we have teams. Scary. Streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer. How are you guys feeling about the Jimmy Kimmel situation? Do you think it was just that his show is indefinitely off the air? Do you think that it will come back quickly? RQMDSMD in the Streamlabs, streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer says, hi, Roxy. Glad you got your full scan / great results. Hope your flight is for going home. These are really dark times. It is going home. Gotta go see my niece. I am so excited to go see her. I especially encourage everybody during these times that are really disturbing and confusing and isolating to try to spend as much time as you can with the people you love and doing the things that you love. Because at least we have that at the end of the day. I haven't spoken to, and this is, I will fully admit, I'm oftentimes in a liberal bubble. I come from Boston. I come from Massachusetts. Massachusetts is the only state in the country where every single region of Massachusetts, every single sector of Massachusetts voted blue in the presidential election. It's the only state in the country. I come from not only Massachusetts, but I come from Newton, Massachusetts, which is one of the most liberal cities in the entire state, which is the most liberal state in the entire country. And then I moved to Los Angeles, which is another relatively liberal city. It's not close to as liberal as where I grew up, but it's pretty left-leaning. And so oftentimes I do find myself in these liberal bubbles. However, more and more as I've grown up, it seems to be like I'm in less of a liberal bubble because there are more and more conservative people around me. Especially as a Jew, while Jews are predominantly extremely liberal, there has been a Jewish movement in the last few years pushing more conservative. Not myself, but some. So I say that to preface this by saying it could just be my circles. However, I don't know a single friend who thinks that ABC temporarily or indefinitely removing Jimmy Kimmel Live from air based off of what he said was right. I don't know anybody. I haven't talked to one person. Today, I've talked to 50 people, and not one of them thought that this was right. I'm really trying to stretch my brain to figure out how could somebody think that this was the appropriate response to what he said? How could somebody think that? And this isn't because I'm a diehard Kimmel fan. I'm certainly not. And this isn't because I watch Kimmel every night. I don't. This is about me being true to my values. The same values that brought me on here to tell you guys Charlie Kirk's murder was wrong. I don't stand for it. I stand against anybody who celebrates it. And civilians murdering civilians and gun violence is never acceptable. The same person who came on here and said that, which was highly unpopular with a lot of liberals, and I actually lost a large chunk of my liberal following because of that. But that is what I believe. So I stand 10 toes down in my values. Gun violence is wrong. And if you believe gun violence is wrong, you believe it's wrong even when it's on people who oppose everything you stand for. That is how I feel. Civilian gun violence is unacceptable and wrong. And that is how I feel here. If you believe in freedom of speech and of press, then how could you believe that the cancellation of Jimmy Kimmel is the acceptable response to what he said, which was relatively mild? How could you believe that? Even my conservative friends, my conservative leaning friends have been like, I've been watching them post on Instagram story today. This is fucked up. And I understand that ABC is a private business and they are allowed to do this. This actually is not a lawsuit from Kimmel to them. They are a private corporation. They are allowed to let him indefinitely pause his show. But how could you believe it's the right thing to do? Not saying how could you believe it's the legal thing to do. How could you believe that's the right thing to do? On what merit? On what grounds? Donald Trump going on Truth Social and being like, glad that Disney finally got the courage to do this. And it's like, is the end game, is the goal to get all left-leaning commentators off the air so that the country becomes more right-leaning? Is that the goal? And is that what we're seeing? Is this year been the start of the shift towards that we're looking to remove liberal voices? And if so, as a conservative, are you okay with that? Because as a liberal, I would have a really big problem with the FCC and corporations attempting to remove conservative voices from news platforms because censorship. So does it work in reverse? Do you guys have a problem with this? Even if you don't believe, if you're conservative, even if you don't believe what Kimmel believes, do you have a problem with ABC removing him from their platform? And if you don't have a problem with that, I have a hard time believing that's not hypocritical and that same logic applies in every area. Streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer. Let's see what you guys have to say. Also, super chat going into the super chat. Kyle Wilson, these are dark times. Where is South Park? Heard. Yeah. They have their work cut out for them on all of the South Park-esque type shows. Jason Ackers, do you think blackface is a bad thing? if that's part of your values, then Jimmy did it a lot. Howard Stern, same thing. Hypocrisy? It's not hypocritical for me to think that doing blackface is a bad thing, because I think that when Kimmel did it and Stern did it, it was bad. Do I think that good people do bad things sometimes? I do, especially things that are decades behind them. Decades. Do I think people can change? Yes, I do, as somebody who has. So, no, I don't believe that we should cancel anybody for doing blackface decades ago, no matter who they are. If they no longer do it and have apologized, which both Kimmel and Stern have. Do you understand the hypocrisy in what you're asking me? Or no? And also the lack of relevancy to this discussion. It's interesting that blackface gets brought up so often in conversations where it's completely irrelevant. But that will be my answer 10 out of 10 times. Top dog girl. People care a lot about free speech as long as it's speech they agree with. The levels of hypocrisy on display in USA from both sides is shocking. I agree with that too. This is not me sitting here saying conservatives, Matt, because you guys saw me this week with Charlie Kirk's passing of me saying, what the fuck, liberals? What the fuck? Get it together. If you're anti-gun violence against civilians, then you are anti-gun violence against civilians, no matter who that civilian is. We are not judge, jury, and executioner. It is not on us to take the matter into our own hands. And to that, multiple people, and by multiple, I mean hundreds of people in my DMs were saying to me, so you would cheer, you would cry over the death of Hitler? People ask irrelevant questions to what the points are, but let me explain why that's not relevant and not a one-to-one comparison. Hitler was a political figure. Charlie Kirk was not. The death of Hitler was because he started an entire world war and mass murdered 12 million people. People are like, well, yeah, Charlie Kirk was really bad too. No matter what your beliefs are, to compare Charlie Kirk to Hitler, they're not in the same room. They're not in the same galaxy. Charlie Kirk was extremely dangerous. And to me, his ideas were extremely dangerous. And I do believe he corrupted the minds of many people. And I disagreed with his values and his morals. He did not murder 12 million people. And he was not a politician. And he did not bring us to war. So it's completely different for many reasons. How could somebody not get that? It's a crazy comparison. It's a crazy comparison. And frankly, an extremely anti-Semitic one. All the people that were posting, if Hitler was killed today, some of you guys would grieve him. I'm not saying that's not true. Maybe some people would. Those people would be anti-Semites. What does that have to do with Charlie Kirk? The hypocrisy. Wait, sorry. Jason Akers says, I bet that isn't true. I don't know what you're referring to. Kyle Wilson said, so worried for the Constitution and Bill of Rights. I understand that fear and concern. I understand. Streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer. Thank you to all of you guys for joining me on this late night show as we unpack some of this. Appreciate you being here. WDM1262 in the Streamlabs, streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer says, it's a scary time for sure. I was waiting for all the other late night shows to drop their monologues, which they did. It seems they recorded them before this announcement. Very curious to hear their takes, especially Colbert and Oliver. We've been seeing some people post on social media. I reposted Mike Birbiglia's post because I think that he hit it on the nose with this, as we continue to see a lot of comedians have been like, cancel culture, comedy rules sucks now because you can't be funny and you can't say anything. Mike said, I've spent a lot of time in public and private defending comedians I don't agree with. If you're a comedian and you don't call out the insanity of pulling Kimmel off the air, don't bother spouting off about free speech anymore. And I couldn't agree more. I think that as a people, we do have the power to enact change. Change has only ever come from the people before. And corporations care about money. I saw multiple of my friends cancel their subscriptions today to Disney Plus. I don't actually have a Disney Plus subscription, so I don't pay for that. So there was nothing to cancel. But when you put your money where your mouth is, I'm not telling anybody what to do. I'm just saying that's one example. Corporations tend to listen. If this is unacceptable to you, the only way to reach a corporation is to make enough of a stink. And I think if enough comedians and enough celebrities and enough everyday people like you and me say removing the Kimmel show for what he said there is not what we want and not acceptable to us, and it hits them in their wallets and their viewership, that's when people start to listen. Some of the people that haven't been canceled, are we really going to sit here and say that what they've done isn't significantly worse than Jimmy Kimmel's statement about Charlie Kirk and Donald Trump? A lot of late night is extremely liberal. A lot of late night is moderate. Not much late night is conservative. And I think that this was the straw that broke the camel's back in terms of they've been looking for an excuse, which is scary because then it could have been anything and he was living on borrowed time on the show. I believe if we make enough of a stink, we can actually change the future of not just late night, but media. John Get Bent in the Streamlabs, streamlabs.com/Roxy Strider to send in some support. I appreciate it. Thank you, John. Shout out to people who send in Streamlabs, Jessica O, RQMDSMD, WDM1262, John Get Bent, and our super chatters, Kyle Wilson, Jason Akers, Top Dog Girl. And let's see what Kyle just said. It would be terrible to lose late night talk shows. I think what's very frustrating as well is that business is real. And if a business is not making money, then the business does what it has to do to stay afloat. And late night has not been performing well for businesses, for corporations. There has to be ways to switch things up and change things. Art always needs to evolve. And as much as I love late night, I can't say that I've been consistently watching late night for the last several years because of things like social media. And it's quicker and easier to get my news and to hear comedians on TikTok and Instagram. And that makes me and a lot of people like me part of that problem. But I agree that it would be terrible to lose late night, and finding a way to make that work would be extremely important. If Kimmel Live was leaving the air because the show was not performing, and that's what they said, that would be one thing. But it's because of these Kirk comments, and that's a completely different issue. Conan O'Brien has always been my favorite, says Kyle. I think a lot of people share that sentiment, Kyle. You are not alone with that. Streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer, super chat in, get in your questions, comments, concerns. Before we get out of here, I did briefly want to mention to you guys about the pre-nouveau scan that that is a direct competitor to not what I'm talking about. The Corviva scan that I did, that was a full body MRI. And one thing I will say, and how it's relevant to what we're talking about right now, is that I'm finding it very difficult in my day-to-day life to try to take control over my life right now. I think that as politics have gotten so out of control and people on the internet have more hate in their heart than ever, I guess people walking around, I've never received the kind of death threats and messages and hate towards me that I have in the last 6 months ever in my life. It has been, and I'm sure many of you guys too, I have been getting egregious messages and comments on every show I'm on, every network I'm on, every DM I get. It's been so scary. And while I take a lot of it with a grain of salt because I think I'm a pretty good person and I treat my loved ones well and I treat strangers well and I do what I can to make the world a better place, it's exhausting and it's demanding. And as somebody who's had the flu and COVID this year, and as somebody who full-time takes care of elderly people and had a huge death in my family this year, and am watching politics destroy people's lives around us, and live in a city where the streets look different and restaurants look different and grocery stores look different and businesses look different because of the ICE raids and because of people not being able to afford to live here anymore because of the rising prices and inflation and all of these things that are going on. I continue to try and see what I can do. What can I do? What can I do to feel okay? What can I do to keep helping? What can I do to stay healthy? What can I do to feel love? What can I do in a world where I feel like I have so few things that I can do right now? So I was really excited about this Corviva thing. It was a sponsorship that my friend Jess was doing that I joined in on, and I posted all over my social media if you want to know more about the experience. But I did a full body scan. You guys know I've been very concerned about a lot of areas of my health, and they scan for they scan you like it was hours and hours and hours. It was an hour in the MRI machine, an hour talking to the doctor, and that like full blown going over every single thing. And I was elated because of the peace of mind that I have, knowing that the results of my scan, they didn't see any polyps, they didn't see any tumors, they did not see any MS, autoimmune. Not that they can see all the autoimmune stuff, but specifically with MS, which runs in my family, they saw almost nothing of concern. There was a couple of different things that were worth noting about my body, like where specific clusters of veins are, or arteries, or where specific lesions might be, or I have a bulging disc in my neck, and exercises I can do to try to prevent that from slipping worse, things like that were so helpful. But if you guys have the money, and I will say this, it is expensive. It is, instead of going on a vacation, it is instead of going on that crazy shopping spree, it is it is expensive. But if again, do this only if it works for you. But if you want $200 off, it's Roxy 200. You can use that code for Corviva. I cannot recommend it enough. And it was so like it felt so powerful to kind of like be able to do something. So I just wanted to mention that not part of my sponsorship. The sponsorship was only on Instagram and TikTok, so I didn't need to talk about it on the show, but I did want to just let you guys know as one example of things that I feel like are in my power right now. My health is one of them. It's also the reason why you guys know I've gotten really into tea and figuring out what tea is best at what time. I'm really into right now getting my water in, my protein, like all these things that we can try to control. And I would love to know in the comments after the fact or here, Streamlabs, Super Chat, what it is during this time that you guys are finding ways to take control over, or what it is that you are doing to feel okay. I'm also flying home. I'm going to go see my niece. I'm going to go see my loved ones. Been desperately trying to get back there. I'm so excited to just finally feel like I can breathe easy going back tomorrow morning. I just want to be with the people that love me most on planet Earth. And yeah, just super, super excited about that. So anyway, if you have any final thoughts about Kimmel, if this is cancel culture, if you believe that what they're doing is right, wrong. Also, The Summer I Turned Pretty, an amazing finale. I absolutely loved it. I'm so excited for what happened. I don't want to give any spoilers because you didn't see it, but I just loved it. I loved it. I loved it. I watched it at 4 a.m. last night. It was so freaking good. Thank you, Scott Cross, for this. So how's about that Alien Earth episode, huh? I haven't seen it yet, but I did start it, and I am just one episode in, and it's good. People say it's like an amazing show. So far, I thought the first episode was good, and I'm gonna barrel on through with it. Kyle Wilson, Jimmy is an icon and should not be censored. Okay, but to this note, Kyle, and I think that this is a totally valid statement. However, I think Jimmy shouldn't be censored because people shouldn't be censored. Not because he's an icon. Not because you believe what he says or you agree with him or you like him. He shouldn't be censored because we shouldn't be censored. That's not what America's founded on. It's not what this country's about. So, yeah. Jimmy's an icon, period. If you want to say that. He should not be censored, period. Because people shouldn't be. Save me one. Are we on the left not acting just like the right did when Disney fired Gina Carano and Roseanne? I think it's a really good question. I think it's a really good question. So these situations are a little different, but I still think fair. Gina Carano didn't get fired from her own show. She was on a show and on a scripted TV show with a clause in it. And she specifically came after the trans community. If you want to say Kimmel specifically came after MAGA, I would say that MAGA is not a marginalized community the way the trans community is. MAGA is actually a majority. And additionally, that is what he does on his late night show. That's what he was hired to do. That is the whole point of the late night show. She is an actress, and her speaking on the trans community isn't part of her job. That was her making something personal. Additionally, I think that with Roseanne, the show's her name. She is the lead of her show. She's not the whole show, but she was the lead. What did she tweet? Something about being on Ambien, something racist, maybe. I don't even remember. And I think it was again against a marginalized community. But I do think if people had a problem when Gina was quote unquote canceled or Roseanne was quote unquote canceled, then they should have a problem with this. Because if you had a problem with that, how could you not have a problem with this? And I don't know. I remember when Gina then said she was suing Disney, right? Whatever happened with that lawsuit? This was also a little different because this was coming from after I told you that the FCC went on that podcast and was talking about that this was deplorable and action should be taken or whatever. It is the government did not fire Kimmel. The private corporation ABC did not fire him, but indefinitely put his show on hold. But people believe that that was because they felt like they were at risk of being in trouble with the government based on Kimmel saying something about the president, which is a whole different cycle than what happened with Gina and Roseanne. But that's not me even sitting here saying that I think that what happened with Gina and Roseanne with how people discussed it afterwards is necessarily right. I don't know. I don't particularly enjoy watching anybody who has come out against a marginalized community that deserves to exist just like any other community. So I think that maybe that was a move because they thought that it would really affect their viewership. I don't feel like this would have affected Kimmel's viewership because that was already his audience. So I don't even know that it was a smart business move. Those are just some of my thoughts. Leslie Marshall, my escape has been getting back into VHS. Made me feel like a kid again. I'm 91, baby. Still keeping informed, but spending time, family, and friends. I think that's great. Sometimes it's important to step away and do things that make you happy. We don't want to bury our heads in the sand, but we don't need to be watching news 24/7. Grammy has it on 24/7, and it's like that can't be good. You feel so stressed. It's adding to her sickness. I walked in today. She's so sick, and the first thing she said to me is, "Did you see what happened with Kimmel?" It's like, oh my God, babe. RQMDSMD in the Streamlabs, streamlabs.com/Roxy Strider says, Roxy just sending some more support. Have a great trip home. Spoil your niece. LOL. I would love to. The last couple times I've seen her, I've spoiled her. And as I mentioned at the beginning of this, I think I just lost another job. So I need to save money and not spoil anybody. But I do have to buy a new phone because this phone is broken. So that is what my money is going to in the next couple of weeks. Yeah. Oh yeah, Sarah and Gina was making fun of queer or non-binary people who use pronouns. And she also did something against Jewish people. I think she posted that like weird comic strip. Oh yeah, the beep boop bop. That was what she changed her thing to, right? Beep boop bop. So stupid. The full truth of it is, which this is not particularly fair to say, I'm just going to be 100% transparent with you. I think Gina Carano was a lot of people's least favorite actress on the show because of her skills. I think a lot of people did not find her to be particularly talented. And so I don't think that her loss on the show shook people too much in terms of her character. Mm. No, I'm pretty sure she did have some anti-Semitic thing that she said. Let me try to. I think it was that comic strip. Let's see. Gina Carano, anti-Semitic. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah. When she said that the political climate is similar to Nazi Germany's treatment of Jews when that's right, when she was taking off the Mandalorian, she compared it to Nazi Germany's treatment of Jews. That is wildly anti-Semitic. Gina Carano grew up extremely wealthy. Being an extremely wealthy person who has had all the privilege in the world and huge success and fame and will continue to have so much money and privilege, comparing your treatment to the treatment of the Jews in Nazi Germany, straight up anti-Semitic. Crazy. I mean, that was wild. That was insane. Like, you are so ignorant of the plight of Jews and the Holocaust that you just compared losing a job on a show because you tweeted something that was wrong to a community to 6 million Jews being gassed and dying. That was crazy. Oh my God, I forgot about that. I was in a movie with her. I'll just leave it at that. But that was bad shit. Oh my God. Cuckoo. Cuckoo. Oh my God, what a nut. I forgot about that. Anyway, we are going to be getting out of here relatively soon. So send in any last minute Streamlabs or super chats. Send in that support. No, I telling a Jew that they don't know what anti-Semitic means. I am 100% Jewish but I'm an Ashkenazi Jew in my blood on both my mother's and my father's side. Just because you don't agree with something doesn't mean I don't know what the definition of it is. You nut. Oh my God, that is. It's like asking a banana to define yellow. Bitch, I am. What? Oh my God, that's so fucking sad. Our country is so whack. Like, then I love when people don't agree with something and they're like, you. Okay. At least you gave me a good laugh for the night. So, oh my God, my glasses are literally fogging up. Thank you. Oh, I'm so happy. God, I love a like legitimate belly laugh when people do things that are so egregious that you're like, I can't even be mad at it. I just have to like know how. Oh, that's so good. Jess Kuo in the Streamlabs just says, don't read this out loud. Oh, then okay, let me read the rest in my head. That's a great question, yes. That is a great question. That is such a good one. I can't answer it because I couldn't read it out loud, but I hear you, sis. I hear you. Listen, I always open the door for interesting conversations when we do a show like this because usually there's half the amount of people watching live and it's the rock stars, and we can be a little bit of an echo chamber. If you're a rock star, you're very likely liberal. Why are you very likely liberal? Because I come on here and talk about very liberal issues all of the time. And why would you want to come on and listen to the show if you weren't liberal? It would probably just annoy the piss out of you. And most people don't like their mind to actually be changed or to hear alternate perspectives. So a lot of people wouldn't be here. When I do shows like this, people who've never heard of me before, people who've never seen me before, people who don't know who I am before, they see the title, it's late night, they're awake, they're like, let me see what this random show is talking about with Jimmy Kimmel, or they see the thumbnail or whatever, and they click on it. So sometimes it opens the doors for, I'm going to call it, unique new fans, unique new participants. And so sometimes on shows like this, we get a motley crew. Regardless, I am grateful for anybody coming to spend time with us. Thank you for being here. And again, they genuinely thank you for the laughs and the smiles because, wow, our country is in a little bit of trouble right now. And so it's always nice to have joy. Other things that are making me feel joy, TV, Only Murders in the Building is back. Hell yeah. So excited about that. It's fun. I'm enjoying it. I told you as Summer I Turned Pretty. I liked the finale. I binged through My Life with Walter Boys. It's not good. I enjoyed it. Morning Show came back with 2 episodes. It was really, really good. I thought that was so touching on some hot topics too. Doing an excellent job. Alien Earth, I started into it. Oh, I also started Gen V. I think the whole season dropped. I wish they didn't drop it all at once, but I think that they did. So I got some watching to do. I wonder if I can watch that on the plane tomorrow. I went to things that made me happy. I went to the Apple TV Emmys party. Did you guys see? I was so happy with it. I got to be in a room with so many of my idols and people that I love the art that they make. And I love the things that they do. Seth Rogen, Brett Goldstein, Britt Lauer, Patricia Arquette, Adam Scott, so many people. And one of my favorite parts, and I talked about this on the Christian Harloff show, but one of the coolest things that happened was a bunch of the people that I love recognized me and came up to me and told me that they love my shows, they watch my shows, etc. And even one guy, an actor from the show Dark Matter, came up to me and said, "We know we've made it. Us actors talk about this. We know we've made it when you mention us on your show." And I just felt so like about that, because I love this industry so much. The only reason I was able to go to this event is because I'm such a true fan of the arts and of entertainment, and specifically of television. You guys know I've been loving watching Apple TV for so many years. I've been talking about it every single week on my show, and I've been doing social posts about it. And that's just because I love it. I want people to enjoy the things that bring us energy and new ideas and all of that stuff. Like I just love sharing television with people. And so because of my love for it, they were like, that's who we're inviting. They invited 5 creators. Only 5 people who are not involved with Apple TV were invited to this. And I was one of them. And it was just I felt so honored and humbled, and had such a great night. And seeing the actors know who I was, like, and not to sound like a crazy fangirl, but I was like a crazy fangirl. It's like, you know me, you know me, you know me, you know me. Oh, just elated. So between doing that and the Corviva scam, I felt like it was a good couple of days, even though crazy shit's going on in the world right now. Those were a couple good personal victories for me. Josh Vizkovich. Oh, we saw. Absolutely gorgeous. Thank you. That was my friend Jess Lucero's dress that I borrowed. A lot of the people I was with were in dresses that were $5,000 and up. And good for them. They looked amazing. But for moi, the fact that I borrowed a friend's dress, did my own hair and makeup, did my own nails, like, I was feeling so proud of myself. Ordered $10 earrings, called it a day. I thought that was pretty cool. And yeah, very exciting to be a part of it. And I'm glad that you guys like the look. Let's see. Kyle Wilson. Change the subject. Best Soundgarden song. Great question. For those of you guys who don't know, Chris Cornell has my favorite voice of all time. He's one of my favorite artists. I love Soundgarden, and I love Audioslave. I love grunge music in general. I think Burden in My Hand is probably my favorite Soundgarden song. Yeah, that's what I would say. Obviously, like, changes by year sometimes, or by mood, but that's probably my number one. What's all of your guys' favorite Soundgarden song? Sound off. Streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer. I told you guys I was not going to be here long tonight because I have to pack. And here I've been an hour because we had a lot to talk about. And I was happy to do it with you. Thank you for being relatively civil in the chat tonight. I know that these can be pretty heated. Most people, I would say 98% of you guys, were really, really civil. Even if we agreed or disagreed, it was nice to be civil. Okay, let's see. That is it for the Streamlabs. That is it for the Super Chat. So that is it for me tonight. Shout out to the people who did send in support. Josh Vaskovich, Kyle Wilson, Save Me One, Scott Cross, Top Dog Girl, Jason Akers, and in the Streamlabs, Jess Kuo, RQM GSMD, John Get Ben, WDM1262. You guys are the reason we're able to continue doing the show. It's an entirely fan-funded show, and I could not do it without you. So thank you for being here. And I appreciate you. Stay safe, stay sane. Put down the toilet seat and lid. We don't want those flumes. Don't trend with the Holocaust because that makes you anti-Semitic. Don't compare the Holocaust to losing your job after tweeting pronouns. Sorry, back on topic. Wherever you're on the rainbow, we love you. We stand with the women of Iran. Some of the bravest women we've ever seen. Shout out. And we're thinking about every person who's lost their lives due to excessive force, which includes gun violence. My Body, My Choice for everyone on the rainbow, we love you. I think I did those. And Golden Sparkles for the Zen One himself. You guys have been so wonderful. What a beautiful, beautiful chat tonight. Shout out to the rock stars who are always here. And shout out to the newcomers. Appreciate you guys. And let's try not to do as evil things as some people do in the world. What I mean by that is it's easy to feel like somebody can change who you are because you get so down about things. But it's hard to decide to put kindness and goodness. Try to make somebody smile. Try to make somebody laugh. Try to do little favors for yourself and others. And I will see you guys later on this week. Okay. Later, friends.